You did press the button.
Yeah, I got it. What's up, everybody? Here we are, episode 32, 31? Shit.
32, I think.
32 of Office Hours. I'm Sto. Nora's right there. And today we're talking about how to actually apologize.
Wait, but also, sorry, Sto. Just to say, our episodes are numbered, but you actually don't have to watch them in any numerical order. And choose the episodes that mean something to you. And honestly, I don't even think people have to watch it from beginning to end. You can just kind of like skip around and fast forward. Yeah. Like, I really think about what we do as like it's not like it's like a resource guide where you can just kind of skip through the pages to find what you need. So this is episode 32. Watch all the other ones. They're in no order whatsoever. Definitely watch the mental health ones. And today, back to bringing us on topic. Today, we're talking about apologies. Take it away, Sto.
No, absolutely. Before we get started, make sure to leave a like, share this with a friend if you find it helpful. We have, descriptions in the bio with some donation links as well. And yeah, we appreciate you all coming through. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. I think we're at 311 subscribers or something like that, which is still like crazy. And we're hoping to hit 350, 400 by the end of the year. So make sure you hit that sub button, hit the notification bell as well, so that you get notified every time that we go live or upload anything, because we actually are going to be diversifying our content. We've already talked about it. So, but yeah.
Okay, so here's why we're talking about apologies today, because DaBaby made me mad for the third week in a row. I feel like for the last 3 office hours, things that we've done, every time we start, and I'm like, let me tell you about some stupid shit DaBaby did. And I know that and we use artists, I think, often as examples of what's happening in everyday life. So he offered this apology, which is really a non-apology, and it was super manipulative and super dismissive and super belittling and all these things. But people look at those as models. And so maybe for me a little bit, it's also like, as we talk about this in terms of the relationship between artists and fans, these are also things we carry into our own lives. And so as you're watching, or if you're watching this after the fact, feel free to share in the comments what you need to see in an apology that makes it kind of resonate with you. Because I think one of the things that I hear a lot from artists is this fear of speaking up and fear of saying things, because if they do and they say it right, people are really afraid of getting canceled or making mistakes that they can't come back from. And I wanted to kind of start today's conversation around like, how do you build up a tolerance for risk taking or for speaking up in a way that can actually deepen the relationship with your fans or with your audience or in building your brand. But yeah, let's start there. And Sto, I'm curious what you think.
I mean, I think it really just comes down to, I don't want to say setting boundaries, but it's like really determining where you stand on certain issues and kind of not backing down from that. Now, obviously, like, I don't know, there's so many different ways people are going to take what we're going to say today, but, it's not really about, like, I don't know, there's a way to show support and there's a way to get your message across, I guess, in like a way that's conducive for your audience while still not tolerating certain behavior, language, etc. I don't think I'm articulating that correctly, but
no, it's okay. I mean,
no, go ahead.
Sorry. I think it's important that artists speak up. And we've talked about this in previous episodes, and those of you who follow me, you've heard me talk about this all the time. As an artist, you get your power from your fans. Therefore, you have a responsibility to speak up on the things that are impacting your fans. So to be silent is a privilege, and to be neutral is actually like upholding the status quo. You can't, I think a lot of people like don't want to say things because they're afraid that if they say the wrong thing, they're going to cancel, make a mistake. They're not going to, or they're going to, and maybe not even to that extreme, but they don't want to hurt people in the process of speaking up, right? There's a vulnerability in taking a side. They're afraid that they're going to alienate audiences. And I think the thing to take away, y'all, is that you have to speak up. Like this, like, ooh, I'm just going to keep my head down and never say anything is actually how you get lost in the mix. Without like saying something, standing for something, whether it's like advocating for something or leaning really uniquely into like something quirky or different, right? We talk about brand differentiation on here all the time. You will gain more by saying something, standing up, speaking out, putting yourself out there. And so that risk, I think, is necessary, right? And if you do the work of building an honest relationship with your audience, if you do mess up, they will understand if it's a mistake versus if it's like an intentionally harmful thing, right? This is where like you can kind of build in grace that people will say, oh, they didn't know, they learned, they won't do it again, versus saying this person continuously makes bad decisions or continuously makes, says out of pocket things. So for me, that's kind of where this conversation is grounded in and where it applies, I think, from like the entrepreneurship basis, is that you have to speak up, you have to stand for something, you have to use your platform in some way. And that is core to building that relationship with your audience.
Absolutely. And I don't think, I don't know, this conversation is always weird for me because I think especially with people like DaBaby or whatever, like some of, I feel like because I see some people like defending him, I guess, and I don't really understand why at this point. But like we've already seen other artists and organizations and festivals and stuff like that, like make moves to remove him. And then, whether that's rooted in financial funds or whatever, or what actual morale is a completely different conversation. But I feel like even steps like that actually like does move the needle forward because it's at least taking some version of action. Now, I don't know what type of statements companies are supposed to come out with or artists are supposed to come out with, like not in his case, but like in other cases that are like whether you're working with him or whatever. I don't know what that's supposed to look like. But again, like you said, like there's no harm and there's no like we're supposed to speak out. We have to speak out. Like there's no, and with no conversation being had or discussion being had, like we just keep going further and further away from where we're supposed to be getting, especially in this industry.
One of the things that was interesting to me about his notes, his note that he released, I don't want to call it an apology, was that he was like, oh, well, y'all should have just educated me. I'm sorry that you didn't educate me better. I'm sorry that you weren't patient enough. And I think part of what that brings up is, in this day and age, can artists use ignorance or lack of information as an excuse? Because that's essentially what he was saying. He's like, oh, I didn't know better, and it's your fault for not teaching me. But is that a legitimate excuse?
I mean, obviously, I don't think so. I mean, I didn't read the notes, so I don't know. I'm sure management, it probably went through like 3 or 4 managers or whatever the hell before it even came out. So, but I don't know. It's just there's, with the numerous times that this happens, like, I think there's always time to, like, first off, it's not, he should be educated. First off, there's really no, we're all adults here. So that, that's kind of where I always stand with it. I don't think it's really, well, and then obviously to blame us or whatever, like that's, come on. So yeah, there's really nothing to stand on there.
Sandroid says, nope, which is how I feel, right? Like if you don't feel informed enough, just don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to keep your mouth shut and to speak on things that you are more educated about.
Right.
I think, I guess for me, part of where, and I see this like we've seen this with DaBaby, we're seeing it with Tory Lanez, we saw it with J. Cole. To me, it's also like this pattern of men, and even DaBaby in his note was like, I'm a man, like as if somehow that is relevant or means anything to the conversation.
Right.
But I in some ways, I also see what we've seen in at least like with these artists that I mentioned, the way that like toxic masculinity plays in to like the refusal to apologize or the refusal to take responsibility and somehow try to shift blame onto other people for mistakes that they've made. And I think that's where like the apology fails. Like if you have to push blame on other people, you haven't apologized and you clearly haven't learned your lesson. That's just some PR maneuvering you're trying to do so that your endorsement deal doesn't get canceled or you don't get kicked off a show. And fans can tell. I think fans can really tell. And I think the tolerance that people have had for that kind of problematic behavior is decreasing. And shout out to Dynamic JAB who's with us and Serial Sensei who joined us, y'all. This is kind of a heavy conversation, but glad y'all are here with us, and feel free to share in the comments or if you're watching this afterwards. What do you look for in an apology? Like what makes it resonate? What makes it stick, whether it's from an artist or in real life?
I mean, I guess for me, I can't remember the last time I ever took an artist apology seriously in terms of, you know, like how many times have we seen the iPhone note? So, you know, it's all to protect money and stuff like that. I guess outside of that, I don't know. For me, it's always just, yeah, I mean, it's always corny, but it really is just about accountability and then change of action. That's it. I don't think it's much more complex than that.
That's a good question. Like, when was the last time you took a public figure's apology seriously?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Well, because I think it just comes down to, if we really want to get down to it, like no one wants to hear the honest, you know, someone's first take apology anyway. It's never going to be good enough for, you know, and yeah, here we go. Yeah, all these comments are kind of.
So Sandroid says, the apology is not a one-time event. It's the words plus seeing changes in behavior and shifts in mentality. Right. So the apology is the acknowledgement of, and I love this because we're getting into like, how do you actually apologize? The apology is the acknowledgement of, I did harm and I can specifically name the harm that I did. And then the actual like amends of it, right? The making it right shows up in the behavior. Sandra says, no name apologizing for being a capitalism apologist is the last one I took seriously. She's also the last apology. I think she's a really good example. And Sandra, thanks for bringing her up because her name used to have an ethnic slur in it.
Right.
And people brought it to her attention. And she could have said, oh, well, no, this is my name. Like, y'all are over it, right? She could have been super dismissive, but she said, oh, my bad. I didn't know. Let me educate myself. And then she changed her name.
Right.
That to me was like, not just an apology, but that was actual accountability. And I think maybe that's a little bit of the differentiation that we're making. And for me, she consistently like role models. I mean, y'all know she's like one of my favorites. Consistently role models the behavior. Serial Sensei says, the apology is acknowledging what you did was wrong, understanding why it's wrong, not blaming someone else for what you did, and most importantly, not doing it again. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that both Serial Sensei and Sandroid are bringing up is it takes, like, you get forgiven not on your terms, but on the person who was harmed terms.
Right.
Like, it's on you to keep putting in that work to make it right until whatever harm was done is healed versus, well, why can't you get over it? Mm-hmm. Y'all are overreact, right? All these ways that we try to dismiss or belittle folks rather than holding space for that. Yeah, it's a process for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I don't know where we're supposed to go with this because I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that's I don't know that today has to be a super long conversation.
Right.
Like if we were to give you the anatomy of an apology, right? I think what Serial Sensei gave us a minute ago is super perfect. You name what you did wrong, right? Not sorry. I'm sorry if your feelings got hurt. That's not an apology, right? I'm sorry if you were offended. Still not an apology. But to say, here's what I did. Here's how it impacted you. Here's what I'll do to make it right. And then doing that work, right? The action piece, I think, is really important.
Mm-hmm. And just on the understanding, like, again, it's not on anyone else. Like, it's on everybody else's time. It's not on your time. Like, I don't know. I even like this. I feel like it happens all the time. And you know, I feel like a lot of us, myself included, like obviously you want to, if you mess up, you want to be forgiven, you want to be able to move on and stuff like that. But I think it's just one of those deals where it's like you have to realize it takes time to rebuild that goodwill, like in any case. And again, like none of us are perfect. Like I'm not here to be like, you guys don't know what you're doing and I know what to do. So this is how you do it. This is how, no, never that. But like it's just, it's one step at a time. And like, I think all of us, at least in those situations, want to be on like this quick timer where there's a quick turnaround and stuff like, especially with this. I can't wait for DaBaby to come out and be like, wait, y'all ain't forgive me yet. What's going on here? Y'all just hating on black men. And so, you know, that's obviously a fake apology at that point. Like you've just nixed everything that you tried to say. So, you know, understanding that it takes time and stuff like that, it doesn't mean you're an awful person or the worst person to exist. It's just, it takes time for people to get over stuff.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Like you already blew it at that point. If you triple down on what you've said constantly, because that was the other thing. Is like, obviously your mentions are absolutely exploding and people are telling you, dude, what are you doing? So if you then triple down on that and then try to, oh, wait, because your bag's hurting now. Like, you know, what the hell? So.
Yeah. I mean, it's also hard not to take it personally, right? Like your ego's hurt, your feelings are hurt. And so that's the point where you just like stop and be quiet and reflect, right? And I think in the world of like social media, which was the other thing, DaBaby like blamed social media, you can get attacked so quickly in such mass.
Yeah.
That the temptation to automatically like respond.
Clap back, yeah.
Maybe that's when you should just like sit with it for a moment. And if you've really done the work of building the fan base and building that relationship and your audience knows you, they are either going to, I think most fans are forgiving of a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of, like more than we probably should be, are forgiving of a lot of things if you act right. Mm-hmm. And so if you take that minute to pause, breathe, self-reflect, and then respond correctly, things will judge or will budge and like adjust a little bit. But if you learn and grow from that, people are really receptive. It's when you continue to make the same mistakes that then people feel like you've been gaslighting them or deceiving them, or it becomes harder and harder to support you. And so there's nothing wrong with that. Like, oh, my bad, let me move on. Your fans will ride it out with you through that. Just stop doing, and obviously there's like certain deal breakers, but those people should have been canceled a long time ago. Right.
And it's just like, sometimes just keep your mouth shut. Like sometimes I don't understand. Like I'm not going to get into it. I just don't understand why people have the nerve to say certain things. Just like you can say anything on planet Earth, like anything, and that's what you've chosen to say. So it's just like you dug your own grave, and I guess all these festivals are pushing them in it. So sometimes it's okay to not say anything.
So that's how you apologize. We're going to keep today's episode short because
I'm hungry.
Sto is hungry. I just got back from the beach. And in the spirit of self-care, take this extra like 10 minutes that you might have. Pretend you have an extra 10 minutes. do something good for yourself. Our next episode is on spam. We're going to talk a lot about, a lot of you don't think you're spamming, but you are.
And you're out here spamming.
But you are. I heard from someone yesterday who I hadn't talked to in like 3 years, who texted me to go buy their book on Amazon. Bro, I don't even fuck with Amazon. And your text, no, we're not doing that. So we have a lot to say about spam. A lot of you are really like hurting yourselves in how you're reaching out. So we're going to offer some like tips and tricks and good things to get your music heard without randomly sending people links. And yeah, do something good for yourself. Please be careful out there. Get vaccinated, wear a mask, and we'll see you next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, click, comment.
Right, do all those things.
All that.
Remember, do something good for yourself. Drink some water. Y'all not staying hydrated out here. I can feel the dryness out here, okay? Do something good for yourself. Get some rest. Drink some water. Get a damn website. We'll see you in 2 weeks to talk about spam and proper way